One brain cell.
Being overloaded.
It's like one brain cell I share with whoever's in the room with me. Sorry.
I have 0 brain cells.
That's why we shared my one.
Woohoo!
Okay. Hi, I'm Leslie.
I'm Anna.
And this is the Histrionic Channel. So we're starting on our first person that we're going to talk about, and it's Nefertiti. Super, 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 super important person, but not nearly enough hype around this person, so we're going to put a cute little picture here while I'm still talking, so that you know who this is. I'm going to edit this all in later. LMAO. So this, you've seen this bust, you know the face, and she's famous pretty much for being beautiful.
That's so dope.
It is dope, but it's also the stupidest thing, because she did so many things. But she was cute, though. Okay.
That booty.
That booty, though. So she was like a sex icon in her time. She had a bunch of different titles, most of them having to do with her appearance.
I'll try and not touch the table anymore.
I literally don't know how to do that. I talk with my hands so bad.
Okay. She ruled both alongside Akhenaten and kind of by herself.
Her husband was the most hated pharaoh of all time. He was interracial, which might have had something to do with it. Like, he was mixed race. He also changed the entire Egyptian religion, tried to convert everyone to a monotheistic religion, and moved the capital city away from Thebes to a new city called Amarna.
They didn't like that.
Because he changed everything, the architecture style, the art style. That's why you've never seen an Egyptian bust that looks like Nefertiti's. Completely different art style compared to, like, traditional Egyptian sculpture. He was not super popular. Had 6 daughters, one of whom would marry her stepson, Tutankhamun. Go Tut. Woo! So, like, she is, in her own right, a very important person because of her family, but she ruled as co-regent, which means she was equal to her husband. Really important thing. She was also depicted equal to him in stature. If you look at a lot of Egyptian sculpture, you'll see that oftentimes a man is depicted as like 3 times the size of his wife. She's like very small and like at his feet. This was not the case with Nefertiti and Akhenaten.
She kind of brought in a wave of feminism.
Oh, she was a badass.
The way that she ruled and the style that she ruled in, because she doesn't like get a whole lot of credit for the stuff that she did just because she was pretty. So, and because Akhenaten was there too. I mean, there was multiple factors as to why many great women get no credit. But
So many feelings!
So King Tut was super, super young and super little when he was doing pretty much like all the stuff that he did.
I think he was anointed pharaoh at 9 years old.
Yeah. I couldn't even do my own laundry when I was
9
years old.
He was young.
Yeah.
Like, he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, homeboy hadn't even gone through puberty yet, and he was running the country.
Running Egypt.
Running Egypt. Damn. Rough. Part of the not getting credit might have been that she ruled under a different name, too. So she's known as Nefertiti, but her husband kind of, like, renamed her when he converted everyone to a new religion. That, like, Aten at the end of his name was not originally there. He was born Amenhotep the 4th. Yeah. And he changed that because he didn't want any reference to Amun or Ra or any of the old gods. So Akhenaten and Nefertiti became Neferuaten, which is the name of a ruling pharaoh. And for a long time, we were like, who is it?
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, another thing that she might have done consciously is kind of change her name just so that the fact that she was a woman wasn't, like, a hindrance.
Well, it was also very common for pharaohs to have many, many names. Like a ritual name and a common name, like many names. I am, like, solidly convinced she ruled as pharaoh as Neferuaten. What is interesting to know here is that she was still called pharaoh. Pharaoh was a gender-neutral term, even though it's translated in English as king. There was a book written by my favorite Egyptologist, Kara Cooney, called The Woman Who Would Be King, about Hatshepsut, because pharaoh is king. So she was pharaoh, and she was depicted doing a lot of pharaonic things. Mm-hmm. I'm going to highlight here, this is the Narmer palette. Bear with me. It is the oldest representation of a pharaoh in Egypt. Narmer was probably the first pharaoh and the man that united the kingdoms of Upper and Lower Egypt. This is him smiting the enemies of Egypt. Fast forward, this is shown with all of the pharaohs as a tradition. The role of the pharaoh is to protect his people, and Nefertiti smiting the enemies of Egypt. Looking like a badass pharaoh, bitch! Homegirl had it on lock. So she was absolutely a pharaoh in her own right. So Nefertiti, there's also a pharaoh whose name was Senekkare. I think that's how you say it.
Sorry, Egyptians.
None of us actually know how to pronounce Egyptian names. They didn't have any vowels. We're just kind of guessing at what sounds go in there. She might have disguised herself as a man, which is also found in Egyptian history with Hatshepsut. Badass. Might have disguised herself as a man and continued to rule as a Senekkare, with the guidance of her daughter, what is it?
Mindy.
Meritaten. That's her name. Meritaten.
Was when King Tut was like deemed the pharaoh, he was 9. And that's just too little to do anything. And during his reign, really significant stuff happened too. Because he was like crowned pharaoh, if you will. Mm-hmm. And he died really young too. So there was only like...
He was 19 when he died.
Yeah, so there was only really a period of like 10-ish years in which he ruled.
But in those 10 years, they ditched the new monotheistic religion. Mm-hmm. He changed his name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun, with the Amun prefix referencing the affix. Referencing the old gods. And the capital was moved away from Amarna. The city was left completely abandoned and back to Thebes.
Yeah. I don't think that I would have been able to make that big of a decision at like 12.
Deadass, no.
I mean, it is possible that, I guess, like, his viziers or, like, those weirdos were doing it, but...
I mean, nothing would have happened without him agreeing to it, but that's not an idea that plants itself in the head of a kid who was raised in the new city, in the new religion.
I mean, I wanted to do everything my mom wanted me to do when I was, like, 11, so...
I don't know, I was just a dumbass. I mean, I still am, but I was then, too. I could not have done it. A lot of things going down with Nefertiti. And I think it is grossly unfair that she is known for being beautiful and known as a sex icon when she was literally a king. That's all.
That's it. Another interesting thing about Nefertiti, too, is we don't actually have her remains, which is odd because, obviously, the pharaohs were mummified and put in these gigantic tombs and stuff.
We found Akhenaten's.
We did find Akhenaten.
It was defiled. All the mummification stuff went away. He's just bones now. Everyone hated him.
Whoops. He made Ra mad, and I feel like Ra would be the god I would want to make the least.
Catch Osiris going like...
Or Anubis, just...
Anubis.
Don't fuck out of here.
Jackal deadass eats his mummy.
Wow. So, another interesting thing about Tut is he, pretty much on really short notice, he died. He was like crowned pharaoh and then died.
He died very suddenly. He was sick. His immune system was weakened. He had hemophilia. His blood wouldn't clot, and he was in a...
He had infections in his mouth, too.
He had infections in his mouth and his teeth. Like, his health was poor, and he might have recovered, but he got in a chariot accident and was bleeding out and sick.
But he still had this gigantic tomb, like, ready for him. So,
you guys have seen the pictures, or at least heard about Tut's tomb. Huge. And the Egyptians would not have been able to pull that off on such short-term notice, because I think it was only 3 days between the time he died to the time he was put to rest. Mm-hmm. Literally just long enough to, like, mummify his body.
So, with Tut being so young and everything happening on such short notice, and Nefertiti kind of being MIA and nowhere to be found, but also pseudo-ruling, pretty much.
The Ghost Rider of the pharaohs.
The working theory right now is that she is also buried with Tut in a secret little chamber.
If anyone tells you that we have her mummy, they are incorrect. The mummy that they would be talking about was proven to be the mummy of Tut's mother, but not Nefertiti. Because Tut's mother was also the daughter of Akhenaten's mother and father. That was his sister. Egypt got Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we like routinely check our own stuff and make sure that everything's like still chill and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we find through what's it called, the magnetic resonance. Yeah. So through magnetic resonance, if we sound like idiots, I'm sorry, but basically they found out, or they figured out that there's a small empty like space that's in King Tut's tomb.
I think they found evidence of like 2 doors going into chambers outside of Tut's tomb.
There are a couple unfortunate things about this. Is how do we get to it?
Because those doorways, if they are there, which is kind of iffy because magnetic resonance imaging isn't. I don't know. It's rock. It's really hard to tell. If they're there, they have been stuccoed over and painted on, and that's part of Tut's funerary tableau. All of his Book of the Dead, the journey of his spirit, the spells put in place to protect his soul are on those walls, and you might have to drill through them or carve them open to get to these chambers. Obviously, we don't want to take a gamble on something that might not be there by ruining one of the only intact pharaonic burial we have ever found. We don't want that. So that's problem number 1.
Problem number 2 is there might not even be anything there.
Right.
It's just kind of like conjecture right now.
I really want to believe that though, because like we said, that's very short notice to put together a tomb of pharaohs.
And it makes no sense that Nefertiti wouldn't be revered in like some way, because she really did fix everything that her husband messed up for them. She changed the religion back, and she moved the capital.
The pharaohs were literally considered gods. And the Egyptian people probably would have been very fond of her for putting things back the way they were. Unless they were bent that she was a woman, which is possible. I don't know. Fun stuff. She, like, had her own children. She raised Tut. Like, he would have been fond of her. She would have been an important part of his family life and his upbringing. She was phenomenal in all of the ways. I have only good things to say about Nefertiti.
Nefertiti was dope.
What a badass. King. A king! Damn, I would, like, pay people to refer to me as king.
Yeah. Actually, honestly, I kind of want to be queen. Both words are kind of dope. Anyways, that's a crash course on Nefertiti.
Wash your hands, stay inside.
If you have any questions on her, let us know.
Yes.
We have an email, we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram. So
all of the things will be down here. Also, a link to 12 virtual tours of museums you can take while you're stuck inside. Cool stuff. We love you. Thanks for watching. Mwah.
woo.